Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a pretty heartbreaking paradox, one that honestly exists quietly all around us. We're talking about the man who can sit right there at the kitchen table, flash a warm smile, ask everyone how their day was, and yet feel completely undeniably alone inside his own life. And you know what the hardest part about this reality is? Absolutely nobody would ever know. Because he doesn't look broken. He looks reliable. But when it comes to his own internal feelings, he might have no earthly idea where to put them. This is an exploration of the men who suffer in plain sight, perfectly disguised by their own competence.
So, the crucial thing to understand right off the bat is that we aren't talking about men who use silence as a weapon. We're not talking about guys who hurt people and then try to brush it off by calling themselves private. No, we are talking about the good guys, the reliable men who, somewhere along the line, made a quiet, unspoken agreement with themselves to never, ever be a burden. Their operating system basically became, I'll handle it, I won't need much, I'll figure it out alone. They learned that being bothered made other people uncomfortable, so they just stopped being bothered.
Section 1. The man everyone relies on.
To really map out who this highly functioning, deeply isolated man actually is in our daily lives, let's just look at his habits. This steady man is the guy who stays perfectly calm in a crisis. He fixes all the things that break. He carries the heavy weight for literally everyone around him. And then, at the end of the day, he goes home feeling entirely unknown. If this sounds like you, I really want to validate that experience right now. Because nothing falls apart on the outside, everyone incorrectly assumes that nothing has fallen apart on the inside. People look at a man who is functioning flawlessly, and they confuse that functioning with actually being okay. But they aren't the same thing, are they? People assume that because you're the rock, you don't feel the crushing weight of everything you're holding up.
Section 2. Where the sensitivity went.
So this emotional isolation, it usually starts way back in childhood. Some kids just naturally register more, right? They absorb the atmosphere, they feel things super deeply. And here is what we desperately need to understand. That boy's sensitivity was never the weakness. The weakness was being left entirely alone with it. In his youth, if he grew up in a room with zero patience for his fears or tears, he learned pretty quickly that showing feelings was inherently unsafe. So by adulthood, he adapted. He learned how to treat his own inner life like a problem to manage. Instead of asking for comfort, he learned to be useful. People might have called him a responsible, easy child, but sometimes a child who never asks for much isn't actually easy. He's just completely stopped expecting comfort.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that unwelcome sensitivity doesn't just vanish into thin air. Because it's unwelcome, it simply goes somewhere else. It morphs. That childhood sensitivity transforms into a tight tension in the jaw. It becomes a heavy, awkward silence during a long car ride, or it turns into a perfectly timed joke right when a conversation gets a little too real or intimate. It literally becomes the art of being fine. The trait of feeling deeply was never the problem. The environment that forced him to hide it was.
Section 3. Careful is not cold.
There's this massive misunderstanding in our culture. We often look at an emotionally intelligent, steady man who seems closed off, and we slap the label cold on him. But there is a profound difference here. Cold says, I couldn't care less. Careful, on the other hand, says, I care a whole lot more than I know how to admit, and I'm not entirely sure it's safe to show you that yet. What looks like a giant, impenetrable brick wall on the outside is very often just a person trying incredibly hard not to be exposed or hurt again.
Take the word calm, for example. Being calm is not always the same thing as being at peace. Yes, sometimes calm is genuine peace, but sometimes calm is actually a nervous system that learned a very long time ago not to move, not to need anything, and above all, not to make a volatile situation any worse. It's a learned trauma response masking as tranquility. When we recognize this, we can finally stop asking why this man won't open up and start understanding why he learned to close down in the first place.
Section 4. The Tuesday night ache.
Picture him at 9:30 p.m. on an incredibly ordinary Tuesday night. The house is finally quiet, the kitchen is clean, because he cleaned it. Everybody he loves is tucked in, safe, and asleep. The demands of the day are officially over, and by absolutely every visible measure, he handled it perfectly. He should feel great, right? Instead, he's standing right there at the kitchen sink. The water's still running. He's just staring out at the black glass of the window, and suddenly he feels this intense ache in his chest, an ache that he couldn't even begin to explain if someone were to walk into the room and ask him to. And if someone did walk in, what's his immediate response going to be? Nothing is wrong. And that is the most confusing reality of all. Because technically, nothing is wrong. All the bills are paid, the family's healthy, yet standing there, he feels like a complete stranger inside his own life. He doesn't have the words for the emptiness, so he just turns off the water, walks through the house to check all the locks,
tells himself he's just tired, and goes to sleep, preparing to do the whole shebang all over again tomorrow.
He wakes up ready to be the rock again. But who holds the rock? Who is actually noticing the man who is constantly noticing everyone else? He's the guy everyone comes to when their world falls apart because he listens so well. He hears what people are saying underneath their words. But when it's his turn to be in pain, his mind just goes blank. The strategy has become need less, stay calm, keep moving, never be a burden.
Section 5. Opening one window.
Look, we have to honor that those protective walls made total sense in the past. If your sensitivity was mocked or your tenderness was used against you, becoming intensely private was a brilliant survival strategy. It protected you. But what protects us in one season can isolate us in another. The terrible cost of this wall is that you cannot numb selectively. The exact same wall that successfully blocks out pain also entirely blocks out joy, connection, and the ability to truly feel loved when love is standing right in front of you. If you pull away emotionally for long enough, the people who love you will inevitably start to feel alone right beside you.
So I really want to deliver these truths to you warmly and clearly, directly from our source material. You may have learned that being strong meant being silent, or being masculine meant being entirely unaffected. But that is just not the whole truth. You can be incredibly steady and still need comfort. You can be a deeply private person and still allow yourself to be known. You can be completely masculine and still be tender. Opening up doesn't mean sacrificing your identity or your strength. It actually completes it.
The big takeaway here is that the invitation is absolutely not to open every single locked room inside your mind all at once. That's way too overwhelming. The invitation is just to open one window. It's finding just one honest sentence. It's allowing one moment where you let a safe person see that the calm, reliable man actually has feelings too. This is not about pressure. This is not about shame. If you are that man at the kitchen sink, this is just about profound recognition. You're carrying a lifetime of things you were never taught how to name.
We're never meant to vanish in order to be loved. We're meant to be known. Being known is a fundamental, real human need. The answer cannot be a life where everyone knows your role, but absolutely nobody knows your heart. You've spent a lifetime proving you can handle absolutely everything alone. But the real question is, who are you going to finally allow to handle you?